Hi everybody, it's Moorea Malatt at SavvyParentingSupport.com. I'm doing a quick off-the-cuff video about constipation and why we don't want to go the way toward long-term Miralax use that's so common in kids these days. I'm going to give Facebook Live a little bit of a chance to ask people to jump on board, so I'm going to refresh my page so I can see any comments over here. So we're going to talk about what I call smooth move for a potty groove. So for those of you who are thinking about potty learning, for those of you who are helping your child in the middle of potty learning, for those of you who are having potty challenges and especially constipation challenges with older kids, I'm here to talk about those things today. I'm not even going to wait for a bunch of people to jump on the live and ask me questions. I'm just going to tell you a bunch of stuff. And the first thing that I would like to tell you is that the reason I wanted to do this video is that the new information came out today that, in fact, my local children's hospital, CHOP, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, is in the midst, I'm not talking about it, but in the midst of a study that they were given money for by the FDA to study possible side effects on children from long-term Miralax use. And in my practice as a parent educator and consultant, I see tons and tons and tons of kids who are on Miralax for a very long time, and sometimes we're working on potty learning with them for kids who were a bit older and never quite managed to complete potty learning, and sometimes I'm working with families who haven't really found any other relief from potty challenges that come with chronic constipation. So I have a lot of resources in this quick little video that I'm going to do for you. Lots of resources for you. But I also want to say I'm a parent educator and I am a coach and a consultant. And I'm a lactation counselor and educator. I am not a nutritionist. I am not a naturopath. I am not a medical doctor, although I work with all of those people with clients in my practice. I am none of those. So anything I say in this video is an idea of things that have worked for my clients, and anything I take, you want to take that to your medical doctor or naturopath or registered dietitian or certified nutritionist and make sure that you discuss it with them and get the go-ahead and have someone to oversee you in making any of these changes, making any sort of dietary changes or supplemental changes. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, that anything I say you're going to want to bring to your medical practitioner, your naturopath, your dietitian, your nutritionist, I'm going to tell you the things that work and have worked for my clients. People who just needed a little bit of help with constipation, or people who had chronic constipation with their kids for a long time. So this new study has come out. Hasn't come out, but they're working on this new study at CHOP, my local children's hospital. I am so excited to see the results when they're done looking at them. Because there are so many children who are on Miralax for constipation. It tends to be that pediatricians don't really know much about gentle discipline, don't know much about boundaries, don't know much about potty learning, don't know much about child development at all. And so when a child is experiencing some constipation with potty learning, oftentimes a pediatrician will just say, oh, I've got all my kids on Miralax, you're going to go on Miralax and we'll make it so that those stools can't harden up. Well, the duration of a time on Miralax is now an average of about a year per child. And that's a really long time to be on a daily or multi-daily synthetic supplement. And Miralax was never designed, has never been designed for children. So even the company that makes Miralax, they wash their hands of this, I'm sure, because They did not design this product for anyone under the age of 18, and they did not design it for anyone to be on for very long periods of time. This was designed as a way to hydrate the colon of adults who had a bout of constipation. And so it was created to help some people over a short period of time, and it is not indicated anywhere on the packaging that it's for children for any length of time. And yet, in the United States, we have so many children. It is a huge epidemic of constipation. That's a completely different talk that I won't get into today about why we're at where we're at with why are so many people and why are so many children constipated. We don't see that anywhere else other than in North America. But that's a whole other conversation. The conversation here today is how can we prevent constipation? How can we fix constipation? Again, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a naturopath. I'm not a nutritionist or a dietitian. You want to, if you make any changes with supplements or diet, you need to contact that person in your life. The first thing I want to say is that Miralax is polyethylene glycol. Polyethylene glycol is also known as PEG or PEG. It is what they call an osmotic laxative, meaning that it absorbs water by pulling water from the body into the colon. And what that means is that in the colon and in the rectum, if you can keep the colon and the rectum nice and hydrated, that poop, I'll just say poop a zillion times today, that poop can't form into something that's really, really hard and getting harder and harder to get out. So we really need to keep that, the whole idea of easing constipation is how do we keep the colon and the rectum hydrated, right? So the idea is that they created this synthetic chemical, and this synthetic chemical, this polyethylene glycol, is made by the Dow Chemical Corporation, and it was first used for cleaning products and for manufacturing, really had industrial uses, and then it became a medical use. It's a combination of chemicals that they put together in the laboratory, and they create something that's similar to a plastic that we call a polymer. And this is now what we have our kids ingesting every single day because they're constipated. And when we're trying to keep the colon and the rectum hydrated, what I want to tell you about that you probably have heard about before but might not be thinking about it in this way, something that I feel really comfortable telling you about, is chia seeds. Chia seeds are the thing. I'll say it, they're the shit. Chia seeds are the natural version of this propylethylene glycol. So the natural version of Miralax. It's a tiny little seed. If you haven't bought them before, you don't get that much protein out of them because they're actually really hard to get all of them chewed to get the proteins out of them because they're so tiny. And some of them are black, super tiny. Some of them are spotted. It's a very healthy seed for you, usually just used as a fiber to kind of clean you out. But they're not only a fiber. I am a big science nerd and a big plant nerd. And what I know about seeds is that seeds kind of hang out for a long time. Seeds hang out until it's time, and all of they're on the ground or they're in the ground, and they're waiting for the conditions to be just right. And one of the conditions that they need is water. And so they might have water, it might rain, right? And these chia seeds pick up water. I get too excited about science, you guys, I'm sorry. The chia seeds, or any kind of seed, picks up water, and it might not be sunny yet, so that seed might not start sprouting, but that seed holds on to the water until the sun comes and everything can start going to grow. So seeds are meant to hold water inside of them. Now, if you find a sunflower seed, if you've ever seen like a wet sunflower seed that got wet with too much dressing or something, you'll notice that sunflower seeds kind of just get really soft and absorb water. Well, flax seeds and chia seeds kind of develop this like gelatinousness around the seed. And if we use chia seeds to combat constipation, they're both a fiber and something that's going to take the water, even starting in the stomach, or take the water from the small intestine, and bring it all the way down into the colon and into the rectum. And that chia seed will hold on to water for a long time, and that's how it can keep the colon and the rectum really healthy and wet, so that we don't get those dry, hard formed things that are hard to get out, causing us constipation. So chia seeds, and if you have chia seeds, if you give yourself chia seeds or your child chia seeds, you will need to have water with that. There needs to be enough hydration in the body, and especially if you can do hydration of water at the same time as you're giving that chia seed, that's ideal. So sometimes kids will be willing to and think it's really fun. I mean, my kids like chia seeds. So you stir them into water, and it's fun. They kind of swirl around, and some kids will drink it, the chia seeds in the water. My daughter really liked to put the tiny little chia seeds in my hand and kind of lick them up, and she'd kind of lick them up and crunch them and then follow with some water. If your child has sensory issues and doesn't want the seeds by themselves, you can mix them in a smoothie, you can mix them in yogurt, you can put them in, you can even bake them first and they will still work. You can put them in a banana, I wouldn't say banana, but you could put them in a zucchini bread, something like that. Sorry, my phone just rang. You can definitely get the chia seeds in somehow, right? So I'm finally seeing some folks jump in. Hi everybody. Hi Jen. So chia seeds for constipation, for adults, for kids, you want to always have water with it. If you mix it in a smoothie or if you mix it in a yogurt, you then want to have some water later. If your kid is experiencing terrible constipation and has not yet figured out how to drink water, of course we'd like for them to just drink plain water, but you can do a flavored water somehow with whatever you need to use, hopefully not Kool-Aid, to flavor it. Or even just a tiny bit of juice in the water. So follow the chia seeds with that, or stir the chia seeds up into that. Really, truthfully, what chia seeds do for the gastrointestinal tract, bringing water, is pretty much the same thing that this fake chemical, this polyethylene glycol in Miralax does. And it doesn't have any side effects. And what we know now from the fact that they started this study at this hospital local to me, we're going to find out exactly what possible side effects for children that this long-term Miralax exposure can have, because there's a huge group of parents. Apparently there is a Facebook group of parents who are, I gotta plug in my phone. Sorry guys. Apparently there's a huge group of Facebook parents, 1,700 of them, who feel that their children were harmed by using Miralax long term. And it is very, very common for this to be prescribed for a year, for 2 years. The kinds of things that they're seeing are neurological challenges, mood challenges, tics, repetitive behaviors, mood swings, seizures, anxiety, and we're talking about things that started pretty quickly, like within 10 days after starting to use Miralax. So again, you know, trying to avoid something like Miralax would be great, and we have this option of chia seeds if there's any way that you can get your kids to take them. And I can probably think of even more ways to get kids to take them. You could probably text me about that. I'm going to, after this video is done, I'm going to put a link to a blog that I wrote that I call Smooth Move for a Potty Groove. Basically, this is information I like to give out for free all of the time. I do not ever want children to have to suffer constipation, so any way that I could possibly help. Some other ways to help prevent constipation. You've heard of that squatty potty. We need to get the rectum into a position when we are going potty where it can actually empty itself. So if you don't have a squatty potty, or if the squatty potty isn't the right height, the squatty potty, if you go onto their website, they're really great people. I happen to know them personally. and I'm not paid to say this, I just have squatty potties. You can buy pieces that make the squatty potty higher for littler kids. You can also make your own thing that gets the feet supported so that we can really get into a squat position. But that doesn't mean that you just take the little step stool that's in your bathroom and put it there. Kristen, I'll give you legal alternatives. I'll give you lots of legal alternatives. So you don't want to just use a little stool. What you want to have is the feet wide apart and the body kind of forward in a squat on the potty. So that might mean that you have things on kind of two sides of the potty so that those legs can open. So get into a squat position. Do squats in general that can really tone the muscles around the pelvic floor muscles around the rectum. So just do squats together. Do exercises that include squats together. Also regular exercise in general with plenty of water following it. Also great for constipation. What else? Oh, how to get enough water into a little person. That is challenging. We just talked about flavoring it if you have to. But also those sippy cups that we have, I've also written an article about this that I'll post. Those sippy cups that don't put any water on your furniture also don't get much water into your kids. And so you'll notice they're just not getting much out of that sippy cup for the most part. So straw sippy cups are the best. Kids get the most water out of a straw sippy cup. The most water out of a straw sippy cup. Now don't let it get moldy in there. You really only want to use water in there because those straws are hard to clean out. If you need to clean them out, if you know anyone who has Dr. Brown's bottles, there's a little bottle. They have these little holes in the bottles, and they have these bottle cleaners you can use for those straw sippy cups. So you can just buy the Dr. Brown's nipple and parts cleaners. What else? So straw sippy cup, chia seeds, water. You all know about fruits and veggies being, that those should be the bulk of what everybody's eating to prevent constipation. And hiding the veggies, not ideal. I have an article about not hiding the veggies and why we don't want to do that. However, if your child is in a bout of painful, difficult constipation at this time, and they don't eat veggies unless you hide them, that would be the time then to just try and get the veggies in any way you can. Things that I'm trying to understand, Kristen, your question about about alternatives that are legally. So an alternative to Miralax, I just talked about chia seeds. Chia seeds are fairly cheap. They used to be much more expensive. Now they're cheaper. You can get them at Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's is a cheap place to get chia seeds. You don't have to have too much of them. And again, they're not going to harm anybody in any way, but I do suggest that you consult since I am not a nutritionist or a doctor, consult your nutritionist, your dietitian, your medical doctor, or your naturopath about adding anything to the diet. Just ask them about these things. I will let you know I'm not recommending any of the things that I'm about to say, but a lot of people get into a very difficult place with constipation that won't go away, and it just kind of becomes this cycle of it's hard to get it out, so it's painful to get it out, so the kids withhold it and don't want to poo because it hurt last time I pooed, right? So that's very, very common, and that's usually kind of how we get to this place. There is a fairly well-known doctor. I'm not referring you to, I'm just saying I've had some clients love him, and his name is Dr. Daum, D-A-U-M. You can look up articles about him, things that he's written. He also doesn't believe in long-term Miralax usage, and I believe that he uses a short-term doctor-overseen dose of a natural substance called senna laxative. And so they're looking at treating constipation in a short-term way and then working on behavioral and nutritional aspects to add into that rather than being on Miralax for years. So he is definitely an awesome person. And he does phone consults apparently everywhere. Everywhere, I think. I don't know if internationally, but definitely nationally. So he's working with lots of folks with this program that he does for chronic constipation. you know, if the constipation is really chronic and you've been doing it for a long time and your child hasn't had any sort of colon x-rays or anything like that, that's probably something you could think about. What else? Having regular potty breaks, right? Reminding your kid to try and poop rather than just letting them kind of do their own thing, and having maybe times set into the day that are for relaxing on the potty with a book. What else? There are a lot of people who work with some pediatricians who really deal with constipation, and they might work with that natural senna laxative for a short period of time, and occasionally they may also use suppositories. I think you know, we hate the idea of putting something inside a child's rectum that just feels so invasive. And it used to be really common. It used to be a really common treatment in pediatrics, or just in parenting in general. People didn't even ask their pediatricians. To just, if there was a first bout of constipation, they would just make it easy for the kid to have a poop by giving a little child suppository or a baby suppository. And then that became very unpopular because, of course, we don't like the idea of violating body integrity that way. However, it's a really quick fix to something that might not become a long-term problem. Whereas if our first go-to for constipation is something that's going to take a really long time and might never really fix the problem, like Miralax, I think it's interesting to weigh those options, you know, to weigh those risks. So I definitely have had some folks in my practice whose doctors have recommended occasionally using suppositories. However, the way that a good doctor will try and help an older child, especially with that situation, right? That's not fun, getting a suppository in the butt. But if the child can choose it, you know, have this versus this other thing that we could do. Would you like to do it yourself? Would you like to see me do it to myself first, test it out? There are different ways that you can help the child be more included and not violated in that process. But, you know, you really need to work with a doctor with these things, or your nutritionist or your naturopath, and really just kind of look at the risks and benefits of various things, read up about things. Hopefully really soon we'll have the information that comes back from the study on side effects of children on Miralax, and then we'll know. And maybe if we take children off of Miralax for these long periods of time, maybe we'll be forced to help them in some slightly healthier ways, and in ways that actually really help, because most of the people in my practice, you know, I work with gentle sleep learning, gentle discipline, and gentle potty learning. So my gentle potty learning clients who have kids who were already on Miralax are usually asking me to help them if there's anything else I know to do behaviorally with potty learning, so that they can get off of the Miralax because they were on it forever and it didn't work. And Miralax is not created to help kids learn any potty skills, and it's not created to fix constipation, right? It's created to get you over this hump of this constipation that might be happening in your large intestine and your rectum. But it's not meant to fix chronic constipation at all. That has to be done through diet and water. It's not really meant to fix it. So Miralax is not a fix. Kids wind up being on it for so long because it's not a fix, and the parents were not given the fix, and which is going to be a combination of diet and water and probably exercise and, you know, gentle behavioral tweaks. And I think that's everything I wanted to say today. I sort of wrote down these like crazy amounts of notes very fast. Last part that I'll suggest, again, you need to ask your practitioner, but magnesium can come in the form of Epsom salts. So anybody can take an Epsom salt and absorb some magnesium through their skin. Magnesium definitely really helps with constipation. And too much magnesium will give you terrible diarrhea. So any magnesium that you give your child you're going to want to be in small doses, especially really small doses to start out, and you want to be under the care of your doctor or your naturopath or your nutritionist or dietitian. What else? So there's a product called Natural Calm that a lot of folks use, and a bunch of people in my family use it too. But again, anytime you do that, you need to be overseen, and you need to start small. So make sure you don't have any unintended side effects. So there, lots of information on how to prevent constipation and what constipation really is, and why maybe we don't want polyethylene glycol in our bodies for long periods of time. So I hope you enjoyed this. Share it around if you want to. Send it to your friends, or tag your friends whose kids are having constipation challenges, or who are having constipation challenges themselves. And I'll see you next time on Facebook Live, where I'll probably be talking about sleep or gentle discipline instead of putty.